Hey Chloe, Matthew here with freeprescriptionlenses.com, and I'm going to show you how I cut prescription lenses for your Rayabn 5268. What is this? Color 5376 in the 50 eye size. Now this is how Rayabn sends it to me. You've got your Rayabn case, your Rayabn cleaning cloth, which is always backwards, and they put a little protective sleeve on there when they ship to me if they think that's a good idea. Where's my second one? I'm going to put a second one on yours when I ship to you, so you'll have twice the protection. No chance those temples can get scratched during shipping. At least that's what Rayabn was thinking. So let me take all this off. Let me move this. And I'm going to take out your original demo lenses. This is a hot, hot color, Chloe. It was fun when I opened this up to see what it was. But anyway, I'm going to take out the original demo lenses that say Rayabn on there. I'm going to pop those out real quick. And I'm going to put your Rayabn frame, into my Italian Santanelli LE1000 patternless edger. And the stylus is going to pop up and trace the shape of your left lens. Then it's going to move over and trace the shape of your right. Here at freeprescriptionlenses.com. That's right, you know the deal. You buy the frame, you get free clear single vision lenses or non-prescription fashion lenses of your choice. If you need to see better, I can do that for free. If you just want to look better, hey, I can do that for free too. So I'm going to pull up the shape of your frame onto the computer. Your pupillary distance is 61. I'm going to type that in real quick. This is a polycarbonate lens being cut for a plastic frame. So let's begin. Your prescription is -50, -75 at 171. So I'm going to spin the axis wheel of my Marco 101 lensometer to 171. Let me dial it out, make sure that is perfect. It is. So I'm going to read -50. Put your lens in there. I'm going to rotate it until it becomes clear. Find the optical center. The sphere power is perfect. Your astigmatism lines up perfect. Now I'll explain that in just a moment. And I'm going to put some dots on there that you can't see, so I'm going to darken those. And that gives me a 180 meridian. Let me mark that one right. That just gives me a straight line to make sure everything is lined up perfectly. I'm going to do the same thing with your left lens. -50, -75 at 178. And turn the axis wheel to 178. We're still on -50. Put that until your sphere power comes in clear. And we are dead on. So let me put some dots on these lenses. Let me darken these so those of you keeping score at home can see. There we go, and that is the left. So before I can begin, I need to put this block onto your lens. This is what's going to hold it in place in the chuck while it's cutting. So I'm going to need to attach this to your lens. I'm going to put the block in my Speedy blocker. And believe it or not, 3M, the same people who make Post-it notes, make that for us. The black side is the sticky side. I'm going to stick that onto the block. Pull the tape away to make this side sticky. Then I'm going to line up your lens in my optical crosshairs. Essentially, I've got a vertical meridian and a horizontal meridian. And those 3 red dots I put on there gives me that meridian. I'm going to do the same thing for your left lens. Grab the sticker, put that on there. Pull the tape away. Get everything lined up perfect. And boom, we're good to go. So let me go ahead and start cutting your right lens. I'm going to put it into the chuck. Or as I like to say, the Charles, because I don't know this machine well enough to call it chuck. Even though we spend 12 hours a day together. Still don't know it well enough. So anyway, the caliper is going to come down, and this is going to trace the shape of your right lens, starting with the concave side first, which is closest to your eyelashes. And then it's going to move over and trace the convex side of the lens, which sits away from the face. All the while measuring the thickness to know exactly where to place the bevel onto the lens so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. The actual cutting wheel is down here on the bottom left. It's that lighter color wheel that's like a heavy grit sandpaper. That's going to grind away your lens material. And this wheel in the center with this channel is what's going to put the bevel onto the lens so it will never come out of the frame. I will have to close the door in a moment, but for now I just want you to see as your prescription lens touches down onto the cutting wheel. This whole process will take about 15 minutes. It's now 7:38 on Monday, May 19th, 73 degrees in my hometown of Durham, North Carolina. So your prescription reads -50, -75 at 171. Your left eye reads -50, -75 at 178. The unit of you've heard of gallons, ounces, and pounds. Well, in the optical world, the unit of measurement is called a diopter, and that is spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R. And everything is in quarter increments starting at 0, which means no prescription, 0.25, 0.50, 0.75, 1, and so on. So you only need 2 steps of correction in your right eye to get everything the correct size. This number, this first number that you see, I'm going to cover up the rest. Without your glasses on, things are actually too large. So when you put your glasses on, it will minify to the correct size. The second number, which is the 75 in both eyes, is your astigmatism correction. And there is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. It's like someone has straight hair, someone has curly hair. That is it. It is not a disease. It is not an affliction. It just makes things blurry. This first number gets everything the correct size. This second number takes away the fuzzy edges. That's why with your glasses off, 6s and 8s, P's and F look alike. This 171 and 178, these are arbitrary numbers. These are real values over here. But this is the fine-tune knob. This tells us where to fine-tune to take away those fuzzy edges. So if you can imagine the top of this card being a straight edge, 0 and 180. If this were a circle, it would be 0, 90, 180, 270, and back to 0. So if we were to turn that knob to 171, which would be very close to 180, it'd be over here. In fact, the 178 is even closer. So this just tells us where to orient the lens so it stays in there perfectly. Because if you had a completely round lens and it was loose enough to rotate, you would still see clearly if you had no astigmatism. With astigmatism, that's why that 180 line was so important. It has to be oriented just perfectly in your frame. If it were to ever get crooked, you would not see as well. So before I try and mount this, I want to dry your lens off so it's not slippery on live TV. I do not want to drop one like I did in the last video. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but I do want to smooth out the rough edges that you have. So I'm going to use my hand stone, which is completely flat. I can put my hand on it while it's running, and it gets warm on my finger just due to the friction. But it's that friction that lets me smooth out those rough edges. So I want to do that. And this white powdery substance that you see is called Schwarf. All you Mel Brooks fans say, may the Schwarf be with you. Except I'm scraping this off your lens, and once it's off your lens and onto the counter, I carefully collect it, and then I wipe it onto the floor. And this is where I say, kids, stay in school. I went to school for years to learn how to make a mess like this. If you want to make a mess like me, kids, you got to stay in school. So let's see if this fits. I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner and use my thumbs. I press down at the nose. And it's a little bit large, so I want to take it down just a little bit more. You can always cut more off of a lens. You can never add it back on there. So I'm going to take 1/10 of a millimeter off of your lens. And 1/10 of a millimeter is the distance between the thumbnails. So I'm going to take 1/10 of that millimeter off of your lens. It is bypassing the cutting wheel and just going to the bevel wheel. Until 1/10 of a millimeter comes off the circumference of your lens. If you notice, there is water running in the background, but polycarbonate cuts dry, where plastic and high index cut wet. And by the way, your lenses are polycarbonate, which is 40% thinner and lighter than regular plastic. They are virtually unbreakable. Your lenses are bulletproof up to 22 caliber and has both UVA and UVB protection. We know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin from overexposure, where your eyes are 8 times more sensitive than your skin. So you have permanent sunscreen for your eyes that never needs to be reapplied. And if you notice, I've mentioned how polycarb cuts dry. It's only wet during the final cycle when it's washed away any optical debris. Of course, I'm just going to put more debris on there as soon as it comes out. But for now, I just want the machine to feel good like it's doing its part. By the way, I recommend everyone go out and get one of these Santinellis. They run $30,000. Put it on your kitchen counter, and then you can cut your own lenses at home. You won't need me anymore. So I'm going to dry your lens off again, back to the hand stone. Back to using my thumbnail real quick and scrape all that off of your lens. Drop that onto the counter. And then this time, collect it all. And how about behind the back, just to show the kids the technique. Kids, stay in school. How many times I got to tell you? All right, so I'm going to tuck this in at the outside corner to see if this fits and push down at the nose. And without the block there, it'd be a lot easier, but I have to work around the block, but that snaps in. So I'm going to do the same thing for your left lens now. I'm going to flip that over to left and then hit start. And just like before, the calipers are going to come down and trace the shape of your frame. This time they're going to trace the shape of the left side of the frame. to make sure that this lens is large enough to cut out, as it's called, and of course it will. It's just a routine operation I cannot override. I would stop this if I could, because it would save me a minute on each cycle, but people have emailed me to say they like watching this part, so everyone at home, enjoy. Round and round, round and round, boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. Man, those Geico ads get catchy. I got that song stuck in my head all day. It's just fun to say. Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. Eventually you got to do socks and belts and socks and belts and socks and belts. But alright, your left lens is about to touch down. So I want to go ahead and start remove this block that is no longer needed. Put that on there, pull that off, dry that off, throw that back in the bin. Of course, I can pull the sticker off, it is no longer needed. Now you still have a red dot that's on there. I want to leave that because I'm going to need to measure that in a moment, but for now, I'm going to put this back in here on 171. Put that in there and measure, and I'm getting minus 50, which is exactly halfway between 0 and 1. Again, quarter, 50, 75, 1, we're perfect. You have half a diopter, no, I'm sorry, 3 steps of astigmatism correction. So if someone owed you 50 cents and then they owed you another 75 cents, they would owe you $1.25. And that's where we were at, $1, well, 1 1/4, not $1.25. But we're coming in perfect, so that is good. I'm going to go ahead and spin the axis wheel back to 178 because I have to check the left lens. If you notice, your lens is completely flat. Now it's actually going on to the bevel wheel to put that knife-like edge on there. A very dull knife, mind you. Dull like me. However, this will be sharp enough to cut a piece of wet tissue if you let the tissue soak in a bucket of water overnight and you press very hard with the lens. I think you can cut through a piece of wet tissue with this. Now the water jets come in. Wash away that debris. In just a moment, this cycle will stop and we'll get this left lens mounted. All right, all right. So out it comes. Now again, back to the handstone real quick to smooth out those rough edges. Little safety bevel. Scrape all that off. Get this ready. And then kids, real gently this time, real gently. Whee! Onto the floor it goes. So Chloe in Miami, these are some great colors for you. These are definitely some Miami colors. But I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner and then push down at the nose. It snaps right in. This block is no longer needed, so I'm going to take that block off. Pull the sticker off. Let me dry the lens off. And while I'm here, your pupillary distance is 61. I'm going to place the 0 on my PD stick next to my thumb onto the right lens, and hopefully you can see 61. So your pupillary distance is dead on. I'm going to inspect that it reads minus 50, minus 75 at 178. I've already put the axis wheel on 178. That lines up perfectly, minus 50, minus 1 1/4 total. So we're good to go. Now, 2 last things to do before I ship them. I want to clean the red dots off. I'm going to use my optical grade acetone to clean everything off of your lens. Squeaky clean. Can you hear that? I want to use my cleaning cloth to clean this off for you. And 99% of all optical shops will do free adjustments if you ask them. So if you get these, if they're too loose or too tight or high on one side, because I have one ear that's higher than the other, so when you set mine on the counter, they wobble. But I'm going to get yours in standard alignment, meaning they're in a 3-point stance. So 3 points are 1, 2, and the bottom of the frame being 3. I press down, there is no wobble like on mine. Press down on the counter again, there is no wobble. I overlap each temple to make sure they overlap perfectly and the same amount of tension on the spring hinges. But that is it. If If anyone out there has any questions about what I can and can't do, just email me at freeprescriptionlenses@gmail.com or simply click the Contact Me button on the website. Chloe down in Miami, I hope you enjoyed watching your glasses being made. And everyone else has got the chance to see how I bring that love and feeling back to glasses. Thank you.